Hey everybody. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remaster just shadow dropped this past Tuesday. There are some positives and negatives about it, as well as some particular details that may be positive or negative depending on your general taste, tolerance for jank, and whether or not you played and enjoyed the original game. I'd like to leave these details to do with the gameplay for their own separate video, so that on this one we can be more focused on the controversy around it and why I believe it matters, but also why I don't conform to the idea of straight up boycotting or attacking or demonizing people who have bought the game and are enjoying themselves with it. Similarly, I also don't fault those who do care enough to have chosen not to support it. I think the discourse around this matter is going off rails, dividing people unnecessarily, and it isn't the first time that this happens this year. I think it's forming a dangerous pattern, and I'd like to address it to all of those who would be willing to listen, as well as also discuss the core of the issue itself, what it really represents, and the absurdity of it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So again, Bethesda just dropped this remaster of Oblivion last Tuesday with an announcement trailer. It was handled between Bethesda and Virtuous, some studio in France or something. As is sadly common in the Western games industry these days, there are some things in it that have been modernized, and by modernized I mean changed to fit in with delusional current-day politically correct bullshit, such as the body type 1 and body type 2 selection in the character creator instead of male and female. So far, to my knowledge, this is all that has been found. Characters don't refer to you as they them, they literally use he and she as they did originally, making this body type nonsense make even less sense, just standing there as some vapid piece of virtue signaling for inclusiveness. Inclusiveness of what? Well, the 1% that doesn't even play video games. However, as is natural, people think that, well, if someone went out of their way to change this, there may very well be other stuff that has been altered for the same motives. This has once again devolved into a lot of bickering online as people from both sides of the spectrum come and clash against one another. We have the classic, "It doesn't matter. Why do you care? This is so superficial. Imagine being offended by such a thing." When in reality this actually matters so much that Nexus Mods was already camped out and ready to go on deleting the mods altering the name body type 1 and 2 into male and female. The mods went up and got deleted just as fast because of course they did. This is part of an aggressive and oppressive ideology, and pushing it is so important that people would have you bending over backwards to never use terms as simple and inoffensive as male and female in the name of this ideology. But then we have to pretend like it doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, why was it changed to begin with? Why is it so taboo to talk about it? If it's such a nothing burger, why isn't there already an option in-game to choose male and female, and why is it that mods that add it get censored? Why can't people on one single platform, that being PC of course, can't even choose to alter a few little letters to make it male and female via this massive modding website? Honestly guys, just stop using Nexus. I'm far more disgusted at them and their behavior lately than the actual presence of the body type thing in the game itself. Again, this clearly does matter. I see some people trying to defend themselves playing the game by saying that it doesn't actually matter. It does, guys. It just doesn't mean that you should be forced to not enjoy yourselves with a game either. It doesn't represent the entire experience, hell, not even a fraction of it. But please stay tuned for more on this specific matter later in the video. Next up, of course, we also have history revisionists pretending as if genderless beings within the lore, such as the deities and Daedra, and also present in Morrowind, such as some members of the Tribunal, were always non-binary characters, even though the very existence of this term doesn't even go that far back. It's some made-up term that only began popping up like 10 years ago. But of course, morons like this will take it and appropriate it to whatever the hell fits their narrative. They need it after all. They can only find meaning in their lives if their politics are asserted by entertainment, because they sure as shit can't find any assertion on their own nor from society at large. Also, again, your character is referred to as he or she, not they and them. This little menu bull is just a failed attempt at virtue signaling. I mean, holy shit, they'll attach it to anything. Xenomorphs? Non-binary, clearly. G.I. Joes? Do you see a dick or a pussy on it? You don't, do you? Non-binary. Random amorphous beings? Maybe some lizard people? Perhaps the stupid jellyfish beings from Mass Effect? Well, non-binary, of course. It's always been there, guys. It's always existed. If you don't acknowledge it, it just means that you're a bigot. Then we have this, which is just... I mean, it's just the best one, isn't it? Because it just shows that these people don't even know what the fuck they're advocating for. We got them praising the body type 1 and 2 situation as if it was trans-inclusive. It's not trans-inclusive. That's how tiny the people that this body type thing represents actually is. It's that even inside the minority that is the modern audience, this is a double minority because it doesn't even represent trans people. I mean, who are trans people? Trans people are people who transition between one gender and the other. Even within their ideology, this body type shit just erases this. If you're someone who worked hard and poured blood, sweat and tears and spent money trying to transition to see themselves and live their lives and hopefully be perceived as that other gender that they transition to in order to not cause any further dysphoria or complications, then you don't want fucking body type A or B or 1 and 2 to be your identity. You want to be either a man or a woman, that's it. And this goes double in a fucking video game. I mean, what the hell are you doing? You have the ability to create whatever the hell you want. The fuck are you doing picking a body type? This that I'm talking about is literally within their own terms, man. This is how delusional these people are. They don't even know what the fuck transsexuality is. Or, up next, we are deplorable degenerates who hate gaming if we merely just acknowledge the existence and express dislike for this body type thing. I gotta ask, where the fuck was this energy when the activists pushed this shit onto the goddamn games? Where was this energy for the people who actually hated games and gamers enough that they had to turn the simple term of male and female into an offensive word, a harmful word that had to be replaced for some weird-ass, genderless, formless, inhumane term such as body type? Hey sweetheart, congratulations on your baby. What fucking body type does it have? Is it an A or is it a B? Or wait, perhaps it's a 1 or a 2? Bitch, fucking miss me with this shit of pretending like complaining about this delusional thing is what is deplorable or degenerate. Get your fucking head out of your ass. I'm sick of these morons getting outraged at people pointing this out. Got me fucking defending Grums again, which is something that I hate doing because it always lands me in shit. It always gets me comments going, look at this grifter defending a known scammer and grifter and pornographer. Here's the disclaimer for any of you potentially watching right now. This comment could have been both made at Grums or the Act Man if he ever grew a conscience. I'd be saying this all the same because in it I am defending myself. He posted the body type screenshot and expressed a distaste for it. That's all that's present on this picture and that's all that K-Mad over here is attacking. By doing that, it is as if he was attacking me because while I am not calling for boycotts nor throwing the entire game in the garbage can over it, I still don't like this particular thing about it and I will never not protest it. It doesn't mean I hate gaming, it means I love it, but I'm not a blind slop eater. Once again, I ask, where the hell is this alpha energy when these people popped up claiming everything was sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic, ableist, harmful, problematic, etc, 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 and it must be changed to shit like body type to appeal to the modern audience? Where was this energy when talking about the people who actually hate gaming, who don't enjoy anything? I'll be gladly waiting for these fine specimens' enlightening replies to this question in the comments below. Moving now on to the other side, which is sadly also caked in problems, we got the usual suspects such as John Delarose calling the entire game a fucking woke disaster because of course, never mind actually playing the damn thing to see if it was faithfully recreated or not, hell, that actually requires someone to be a gamer, to be interested in the actual medium, rather than some fan fiction novelist trying to piggyback off of the culture war in gaming and entertainment in general to gain relevance and money while gooning to gay, furry corn behind closed doors. Of course, we also have George Torch coming in with his usual gamers bullshit, trying to rile people up and calling for a boycott. Never mind how delusional he looks to any regular bystander, wondering why a small feature of a character creator would straight up elicit the most extreme response. Let me repeat that because it's actually important. It's what bystanders are seeing, a thing that represents maybe, what, 1% of the experience people will have with this massive RPG, something they won't even see again and won't even be referred back to as soon as they close off that character creator, eliciting the same kind of rallying call and measure that was applied to the king of dingleberry ideology, Dragon Age Veilguard. And when bystanders see this, it doesn't look good, and that's why people like this are becoming lolcows.
And this is followed by the booty bandit known as George Torch Games, okay? Look at this psychotic shit. He says, "That's why I'm subscribed to you. Grums is our leader. Grums is our leader in battle. Grums know what gamers want. Grums doesn't follow trends, for he sets them on fire and forges new ones." Oh my God! You know what that man just did? He said, "This is what he just did, gang. This is what he did." He said, "Grums, just take me, Grums. Grums, take me. Grums. Grums, just take me. Please."
More on this later. All that's left for him now is to start saying that the game breaking through over 160,000 concurrent players on its shadow-dropped launch day on Steam is actually indicative of a flop, rather than a sign for the industry to see that it can barely compete with games that are nearly 20 years old. Also, have a look at this as well. They actually think that changing a movement's name is going to bear any results, that if they merely change the Gamergate 2 name to Gamergate 3, or George Torch's idea, which is gay as fuck, I mean, what the fuck is this? The trad stance? What are you, having relationships with women and sex with men?
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
They think changing this is going to revolutionize the response to these games. Suddenly Oblivion Remaster hits a peak of 76 players or some shit, and they claim a victory over the wokeness. I'll be glad to explain to them why what is happening, and why it has nothing to do with the concept that wokeness is not woke as long as it's popular. It's really a basic concept to understand, but they either can't figure it out, or they're just more than aware of it, but they are actually quite legitimately running their own activism racket over here, where, as already seen this year, if a game merely features women, it's already a problem for them, and must be boycotted, making the only difference between people like this and people like Alyssa Mercante be the part where she worked for Kotaku, which is the access media, and these two work for Fandom Pulse, which is the other side of the coin, and they honestly don't even need the access part of the access media because they don't even play these games. They just rally up their troops, gamers, call everything woke and say non-binary. Really what's happening is very simple. Average gamers, actual average gamers, are not being able to resonate with these guys because they're more invested in the ideology than the actual games themselves. Sound familiar? And finally, the best for last, we got Razorfist saying that people deserve what they tolerate. If Bethesda denying the basic biological concept of gender after 5 games of enshrining it is what we reward, then we are essentially pre-ordering more PP politics. And I actually want to talk about this one here in much more depth. I don't like this guy's takes when it comes to attractive character designs in games. I believe him to be way overzealous with what constitutes corn, alongside people like Melanie Mack, John De La Rose, John F. Trent, etc., to whom a game like The First Descendant or Marvel Rivals is crossing a despicable line, it's corn, or it's demonic, or it's a psyop to turn people gay, blah 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 blah. They each have their own particular takes, but in the end, the point is that they're against it. But I do understand this take here from him. And he's not exactly wrong either. The truth is that yes, we got to the point that we got because we tolerated things. I just think that this needs to be looked into further because there's something else happening underneath it all, something that people like Razorfist and others aren't seeing, a side that they're totally neglecting and that is incredibly important. And that is what this video is mainly about, so let's just get right in there. The concept that we tolerated things up until now is not exactly correct, at least not in my view. I don't think people tolerated a rising problem, I think people didn't see the rising problem at all. There's people out there, probably like Razorfist and certainly like other creators that I actually prefer and follow, who are older than me and have been seeing other industries being decimated by this ideology in the past, such as comic books. People like this had hindsight when it started affecting the movie and TV show side of things, and then of course also the games. People tend to not like Az from Heel vs. Babyface because of his pronoun rant. They see this as some weird, unhinged attack, a guy just losing his fucking mind, going crazy, for no reason, for just a button in a menu. I don't see that. I see a guy who has been around for a long time, seeing this coming for a very long time, living through it for a very long time, and only seeing it getting worse and worse and worse without anybody taking notice of it at all, or some people taking notice of it but not talking about it because of it not being appropriate to talk about, because of it being taboo to talk about. I see a guy who saw this in finally, right, in fact, one of his favorite studios and a game that he was looking forward to for so long, and then he just went on a passionate rant about it. And it wasn't just a button in the menu, like that's not what happened at all either. He was playing the game, he got through the character creator, he didn't like what he saw but it wasn't a deal breaker, and then he kept playing the game and other things along the way got him to reach that boiling point. And it's the same thing with Oblivion. He's been streaming the game right now. He saw the body type thing in the character creator, he didn't blow a gasket over it, he's not a nutcase. There's just a big difference between people like this and people like myself and others who I imagine to be the majority here, which is people who were just not aware of all of this, were not aware of the whole rabbit hole. In order to tolerate something, one must know exactly what one is tolerating, and I think that most of us had no idea that something this bad was happening going as far back as, for example, 2016. We could have totally seen things that were off. I'm not saying that people were straight up blind or asleep, but I am saying that the position where we are at now, especially after 2023 and 2024, when the big push for this garbage was overtly noticeable, where more people began realizing just how bad it was getting and noticing that pattern of behavior, also noticing developers more and more speaking out against us as customers. And of course, who can forget when the Sweet Baby Inc. rabbit hole was exposed with the ESG stuff and the BlackRock stuff. This is a very different position than where we were at prior to this. If people knew about and were aware of and had evidence of all of this garbage at the time, they wouldn't have tolerated it either. They would have pushed back against it. Or at least I'd like to hope that they would, because there's another issue to do with this, which is the culture shift. The push of unhinged far-left politics and activism has allowed for people to not only be more comfortable speaking out against these matters and acknowledging reality, but it has also shifted the culture a little bit where speaking about these things in itself is already no longer this massively taboo thing. Like, we can actually do it instead of it being like going into a woked out subreddit right now in 2025, where if you speak against something that the echo chamber is triggered by, then you get mobbed by a bunch of people with the opposing opinion, and then you get banned because apparently you broke the terms of service by saying things that did not conform with the current politically correct form of speech. We are thankfully not in the same position anymore. People can now talk more openly about these things, there's a bit more common sense to go around, we can speak out and criticize this body type shit without being banned first and foremost, and without the unrealistic expectations of being able to call for a massive boycott, and without the need for one either. It's not that it's wrong to boycott it, you guys can do whatever you want. What is wrong is to hold other people to that same standard and turn this into a weird partisan issue, like these people do, where if you're not boycotting this one thing that so many people have been waiting years for, then you're a fake and a fraud and a secret agent of the woke mind virus or some other retarded shit like that. Like, this is not a black and white situation. More on this in a bit. This industry knows where it's at. They know this garbage is unwanted and is going out of fashion, and they know that if they push it too far, their games will end up flopping, like so many have done so over the past year. I believe we should still speak against it. We shouldn't get complacent and be like, oh come on, this doesn't actually matter when when the game is so great. Like, no, this does absolutely matter. It is part of the same ideology pushing identity politics into the space. It's a remnant of that push for activism that we've been advocating against, and it's a pesky one too. In many ways it became the default. Hell, even Elden Ring has this shit, and it is a beloved game. And guess what? If Elden Ring 2 came out tomorrow, it would sell like hotcakes. Any FromSoft Souls game would. And it doesn't mean that its buyers are modern audience morons or non-binary identifiers, it just means that they want to play more Elden Ring, just as they did buying that expansion just last year. In other words, when people are buying these games and enjoying themselves in it, they're not doing it because it's body type the game, they're doing it because it's Oblivion and Elden Ring. The body type nonsense needs to be acknowledged as a problem, because it is a problem. It's just that playing the game itself is not an endorsement of it. Oblivion's remaster or Elden Ring's values are not on the body type bullshit, it's on everything else despite it. These companies know this. They have been made painfully aware of this over the past year. If the body type bullshit was what people were looking for, then Avowed would have been hitting over 160,000 concurrent players day one. Instead, it didn't even get to 20, and Dragon Age Veilguard only managed 89,000 and a total of 1.5 million players by the end of it, which was even admitted as a failure by EA. Being against the ideology that this body type shit represents does not mean that you have to entirely boycott the game, and wanting to enjoy an otherwise faithful remaster does not mean that suddenly identity politics being pushed into the industry doesn't matter. People have to stop engaging with this thing under this binary because it's causing needless retarded infighting. With that said, if people are actively boycotting the game or sailing the high seas because of wanting to outright not support this decision, or Bethesda in general, I don't agree with demonizing them either. That's sadly the point that we've come down to right now. It's like the third or fourth time this year that this happens, where moderation is just thrown out the goddamn window because hashtag social media, and people turn on each other over a game. You can either do one thing or you can do the other thing. Anything else is unacceptable, and they both have to be adversary actions to one another. And this just results in that needless infighting and in the attenuation of what we advocate for. All that we speak against, you know, the invasive ideology, the activists in the space, the censorship, the political correctness, the misrepresentative localization, etc. All of this stuff that we speak against, like whether we like it or not, all of it and all of us are bundled together to some degree in the eyes of other people. This is why if I'm making a video and I'm giving my personal opinion on a matter, and that opinion happens to be similar or resonating with something from Grums, then I get fucktards saying that I'm in the same boat as him. We're all the same, we're all grifters, we're all chuds, we're all gooners, we're all this, we're all that and the other. And this is why it's important to hold people accountable whenever possible, and why we've seen a bit of a separation already between people like George Torch, John De La Rose, John F. Trent, Melanie Mac, etc., and then other many YouTubers who advocate against those aforementioned matters without going into extremities. In a sense, even if I don't like or if I prefer to not be labeled as anti-woke or the label Gamergate or any other label that people come up with, I have to conform with the reality that I am associated with it by other people along with all of those matters that I advocate against. Even if they are wrong in that association, which is also very easy because this association, you know, these labels, they're not in the dictionary. Each person has their own interpretation of these things, but it just is what it is. And so when this perceivable side is demonizing people for wanting to play a game that they've been waiting years for and are really excited about, or in the case of stuff like Elden Ring and some others, are just straight up bangers that people don't want to miss out on, then we're just damaging everything that we are advocating for. And again, what bothers me the most about it is how unnecessary this is. We really don't have to be so damn hot-headed and militant and extreme about something so simple. I don't have all the answers, not even close, and I'm always open for a conversation on the matter, but I think that there's at least two things that we should never do. Number one is demonize people who don't go all in on the boycott because it'll just turn them against us and what we stand for. Nobody likes being told what the fuck to do. It's not just Puritan conservatives who don't like this, it's everyone else too. And when you have 99% of a product that is desirable and 1% that is undesirable, guess what? Gamers are going to want to play it anyway because they'll either ignore or mod out the 1%. And number two is, we can't expect change to happen immediately. Progress doesn't come overnight. And in the games industry, we're talking about projects that take years to develop. For all we know, it's already progress that Oblivion Remaster only has the body type situation to worry about. Or at least so far, as of the making of this video, that's what it seems like. And I know that there's a line to thread when it comes to this situation specifically, where basically we can't become too complacent to the point where lingering activists in the industry take back their lost ground. But what people like Razorfist aren't taking into account is that we're going to lose that ground anyway if we're so incredibly overzealous and aggressive with this shit that we will lose the crowd. We will lose our grip on reason, common sense, and most of all, relatability. We'll just end up looking like the woke-tards who pushed this shit into the space in the first place. Obnoxious, always angry, always pissy, always militant, always picking at something, and never relatable. I believe that we made a lot of progress because these activists went so far to the left, so far into ridiculous extremist views that, for example, if you wanted to play Hogwarts Legacy, a simple video game, then you were a transphobe, a terrorist, and an Austrian painter. The whole Hogwarts Legacy boycott was such a big turning point for so many people to start growing a nasty distaste for these assholes online. Their behavior was unacceptable. Random, average, everyday gamers were being hounded on comment sections just for wanting to enjoy this one game. And guess what else, by the way? Hogwarts Legacy didn't have male or female either. It had this genderless shit in it too, where you picked between presets that were clearly split between male and female versions, but without any names or references. Then you picked voice 1 or voice 2, also clearly male or female, and then you chose whether your character would be referred to as a witch or a wizard by the other characters in the game. And yet, this didn't even matter to these activists because the whole J.K. Rowling thing was so much more important, showing us that even if this garbage is in a game, they will still complain if other checkmarks aren't crossed. This ideology of theirs is unsustainable, and it will eat itself alive. Think about all the wacky bullshit that they push, like this garbage list from Microsoft on screen right now. So much of it is contradictory to itself, and the rest is literally unsustainable. You can't appeal to everyone, you can't make everyone happy, you can't represent everyone, and that's why in Hogwarts Legacy, even if you're trying to represent non-binary people, it's still not enough. And as another example, just take the thing that I just said earlier in the video about them not understanding what transsexuality is. But we can't turn into them by doing the same shit onto people wanting to play games like Elden Ring, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Split Fiction, Monster Hunter Wilds, Oblivion Remaster, etc. Just the same way that these fucktards did to people wanting to play Hogwarts Legacy. We literally have an example of someone doing it right now. Type 1, Type 2 is woke bullshit, buying it is terrorist financing, and the only reason people are buying it is because they either did not notice or are apolitical retards. This is delusional. I can't even say anything else, it's just delusional. Buying the Oblivion Remaster is financing terrorism? What the fuck? Do you have any idea the damage that this is going to do to people who make videos on this regard? If we don't call out this delusional ourselves, if we don't separate this shit, this delulu nonsense, this retardation, nobody's ever going to listen to a single concern that we have. Similarly though, we also can't talk down to people choosing not to buy and support this because of this body type issue. Again, this is an obnoxious ass problem, and this is a natural reaction to have. They are still losing sales just by going with body type instead of male and female. This is still a good thing. Let people do this. Don't shit talk them for it. They're not taking away your enjoyment of the game, so who cares if they're not bullying you for not doing the same thing? At the end of the day, lost sales are lost sales, and these morons know it. And they know this fucking ideology is on its way out, and most importantly, they know that if they crank it up, they'll flop. If they had veil-guarded this remaster, people would be waiting for Skyblivion, and this would be tanking. Keep that shit in mind instead of turning on each other. So, in closing, becoming an overzealous nutcase is akin to becoming a wokey trying to cancel someone or demonize them and call them an Austrian painter for wanting to play a game that they are ideologically against without a single shred of nuance or relatability to the average gamer out there. This is what I believe people like Razer are forgetting, and never mind the Orch torches of this world, honestly they just look like psyops to discredit us, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Gamer! Wokies got all up inside of their echo chambers, forgot what they looked like to the silent majority, acted this way, and it made them look exactly like what they were. Unhinged, overzealous, aggressive tards, incapable of being reasoned with and related to. I think that's where the Gamergate thing is headed if we keep doing this shit. That's just now happening for the third time this year, where people don't give a shred of a fuck about nuance, and even less for context and reality. I think people like this are completely disconnected from what the average person thinks and feels. And hey, it's not like the average person is going to be always right, sometimes they're gonna be totally wrong. I've already seen some sentiment that I didn't like, honestly, where some people said, I'm so tired of the culture war stuff, just talk about anything else. I've even seen this from content creators, and it's like, yeah, I get it, it can get tiring to hear about it a lot, but this isn't being talked about for sport, this isn't being talked about for, oh hey, welcome to the culture war channel. This stuff is important. If we just go and get tired of it as if it was just some hobby or some shit, we're going to lose all the progress that we've made, and we'll be back to more Veilguards and the ruination of even more beloved franchises and IPs by Sweet Baby Ink types before 3 o'clock. Because so far, we have noticed a shift, but we haven't actually done anything palpable. I mean, don't get me wrong, Lords of the Fallen polling their community about gender thing and walking back their body type nonsense to implement back male and female was a pretty big W. But all in all, the industry is still the same as it was last year. These activists that burrow themselves into these studios are still there because they're still being paid by ESG. The only thing we gained palpable progress on is we're able to talk about this stuff more openly now, and there's more people talking about it as a result of it. But in terms of palpable changes, nah, we still got a long way to go. I mean, look at this video. Why is this video even being made? Well, it's because the body type 1 and 2 thing is still the industry default right now. It could even very well be that Bethesda and Virtuous didn't even put that in there to prove some kind of point or to do some malicious political push. It could very well be that it's just the Microsoft standard type of thing. We know they're woked out, or hell, it could very likely even just have to do with the industry standard in general for a character creator. It's been this way for years. The Dragon Quest HD remakes, for example, featured body type A and B, not because the Japanese developers were woke, but because Square Enix demanded it because that's just the standard in the West. And of course, again, Elden Ring is a massive success, one that I believe we all agree is based as fuck, even if some of us don't like it as much because of particularities here and there to do with difficulty scaling and whatnot. One way or another, it's the banger that it is, and yet it's a game with that body type garbage. I'm pretty sure FromSoft hasn't gone woke, it's just a damn standard that one day just goddamn fell into place because of these agenda pushers. While in the meantime, brave alpha chads like that K-Med guy earlier in the video piped down and played ball with, instead of puffing his chest and bravely speaking against it, like, man, what a bunch of deplorable degenerates. Why are you changing this stuff? Why do you hate gaming? What a bunch of losers. Change it back. They only do that now because it's the fucking popular, pre-approved and politically correct thing to do. So yeah, fellas, it's not like the average person is going to always be right, because they can be woefully uninformed. I was just an average person last year too, before the big blowout in regards to Sweet Baby Ink that got me to look deeper. I was utterly wrong in thinking that there was no secret agenda. It's not that I was blind to what I was seeing. I saw the things coming from Disney, all of these race swaps and shit, but I had no idea how deep this ran. I had no idea that there were companies that they were being funded by specific programs in order to inject this progressive shit into games and get rewarded for it. I was uninformed, I wasn't paying attention, and I thought it was just a fad that was going to go away. When I saw the as pronoun Starfield rant, I just laughed. I thought it was funny. I thought he had a point, like I thought, why is that in the game anyway though? Like, why was that in the game? What was the point of that? Like, really, does it even matter that much that that has to be put in? It's outer space. Are we supposed to believe that in outer space in the future we're still going to have this fucking identity politics bullshit? But in the end I just shrugged it off, I laughed, I thought it was exaggerative, and then I moved on. And then Spider-Man 2 came along and I saw all the garbage in it and I was like, okay, this is a bit weird. And then 2024 came along, and very early on with Soy Squad, the big Sweet Baby Inc. blowout. And then I understood why these things are there. I understood why these changes are being implemented. And I understood that they weren't going to go away either, because of course they can't go away. Things like these, they don't disappear. There's a whole grift around it. There's a whole job around it. If your job is to basically correct offensive material, for lack of a better word, what are you gonna do when you've done it all? When you've got it all corrected? When your diversity quotas have been met? What are you gonna do? Fucking retire? Go into unemployment? Of course not. You're going to find new problems. You're going to create new problems to keep pushing your ideology indefinitely. I saw this and I didn't fucking like it. So again, yes, the average person can be uninformed and therefore they can be wrong. But if you want to have a positive effect and you want people to hear you out and understand you, I believe that you also have to think about these things in a wider scope. You have to understand where people's heads are at. You have to understand that if a good game releases and that good game has one of these pesky things in there like a body type option, then you have to find ways to protest it, to speak against it, to draw lines against it, while also acknowledging the fact that that's a good game and people are going to want to play it. And as a bonus, you can also play the game and understand why the game is good, and then when woketards come and use it against you like, what about this game? This game had pronouns and it's actually a wild success. Then you can call out their delusional retardation with facts and logic. Again, common sense is on our side. So long as we don't lose common sense, this really isn't a difficult debate to have with people. I don't care to demonize people who want to boycott it. Like, if you don't want to get it, don't. Hell, my girlfriend is actually doing that at the moment. I talked to her earlier, and despite her being a big fan of these games, as soon as she heard about the body type thing, something just hit her. She got that nasty taste in her mouth, because of course, this is at the end of the day precisely what it is. It's an activist shoving their shitty ideology into every waking thing that surrounds us. Even a remaster from a 2006 game isn't safe from some measure of it. What am I gonna do now with her? Am I gonna cancel her? Am I gonna call her a bigot for not wanting to play the game? She didn't even bother me about it. She just hoped that it was good and that I would have fun. And I think eventually, if the rest of the game does pan out to be solid, that feeling will subside for her, and she'll get it and enjoy it for what it is, as she did with Elden Ring, while continuing to fight woketards on social media who give her lip for having the metaphorical balls.
Why are you gay?
For calling out political ideologies in entertainment. So genuinely, I do get it. I'm not gonna call you names for not wanting to play this, nor will I do the same for people who do want to play this, and support it even, especially when supporting this does send its own kind of message separately, which is that this is what we want more of. Not body type bullshit, because we already had body type shit with Avowed and Veilguard, additionally with pronoun selections that flopped hard, like the piles of garbage that they were. That's not the message that we're sending. We're sending the message that we're done with half-baked, bland, low-effort, modern-day writing, modern-day world-building, modern-day simplistic Unreal Engine 5 slop, just like Avowed and just like Veilguard. Two games that should have been massively successful and that ended up flopping instead, while in the meantime a fucking 19-year-old game gets dropped on a random Tuesday, takes the internet by storm, and registers over 160,000 concurrent players. More players than those two games combined. And those are purchases on Steam, by the way, not Game Pass activations, not Ubisoft player numbers, but actual purchases. And this is because 19 years ago we were making better fucking games with actual passion, talent, and hard work poured into them, with nothing but the desire to make the best game that they could make, to provide the best experience that they could possibly muster for themselves and their players by extension, because we had a strong-ass industry composed of gamers making games for gamers. The games weren't perfect, they weren't all perfect 10s, a lot of them had issues. Oblivion is an example of that, fucking buggy as fuck, but at least they were good and creative, and they provided escapism. And nowadays, we have far too many out-of-touch executives dictating nonsensical shit that doesn't at all resonate with our players, and that ravages the identity of their own franchises. Hello, Marathon! We'll be having a dedicated video on this matter soon as well. We have out-of-touch executives hiring people that hate gamers, that hate the franchises that they're working on. How does that make any sense? Hiring activists onto high positions in these studios or through consultants with nothing but an agenda to push. The very same kind of people whose sole original contribution to Oblivion's remaster is a fucking body type designation instead of male or female. This is also a message that I see being sent. I know that there'll be journalists, woke tards, and other delusional types trying to flip the message, and that what we're actually supporting is the ideological negative piss that represents nothing at the end of the day, the negative garbage that 99% of the player base is literally speeding right by and never thinking of again, or waiting for a mod hosting website that isn't composed of pussies to host the mod so that they can download it and install it on their games. It's actually already out there. I'm saying waiting, but it's actually there already. It's just that these websites are obviously not as popular as of right now because Nexus was the popular one. But not for long if they keep going the way that they're going, looking like fucking game journalists or some shit. This garbage is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, and their copium doesn't matter. I mean, come on, industry people lie to themselves all the time. Look at Andrew Wilson from EA and what he claimed Veilguard's failure to be, a lack of live service elements. Because of course, nothing better than more monetization put into a video game that nobody wants to play in the first place. You think he believes his own bullshit? Of course he doesn't. He's just trying to get one by his investors. So basically, and to speak candidly, fuck them. Who cares what these people say in the end? Just keep voting with your wallets and making your voices heard. If you do both, you're sending the message that what your money bought was the game, devoid of the ideology. And if they dare to dial that up in their games instead of removing it, they're not gonna be staying in business for much longer. Let them keep trying to flail around with their false narratives. Let them keep looking to the biased and dying games media to coddle them as their studios close down, and simultaneously as these so-called journalists keep getting fired too. They can keep coping and seething, but the fact is that this ideology results in one thing only: failure, and they can either address it or they can shut up and put the fries in the bag. We're doing good, we just need to keep at it, but the last thing that is going to help is if people start turning on each other over and over and over again because of wanting to play a game that looks like genuine fun or a game that someone has been waiting a damn long time for, while at the same time being a game that simultaneously has this tiny little bit of rot still hanging in there. We need to get the rot out. We don't have to destroy everything in its path, which is actually something that we can't even do, and more importantly, something that we don't have to do to get that rot out. Personally, I can't wait to dive back in and play some more. It just is what it is. Now, if you've listened this far, you've heard me speak, you've heard what I had to say, you've heard what I think of this ideology, and if you've been around and are a supporter of the channel, then you've also heard me taking it apart. So, think for yourself. Am I woke? Am I some fake this or fake that, as George Tard and John De La Fury are implying about anyone who wants to play an otherwise great game? I guess I'll leave that one up to you guys to answer. Either way, I thank you very much for watching. If it's not too much to ask, leave the video a like if you indeed liked it, and I will see you guys on the next one. I gotta go rest my voice a little. The 2-hour-long Assassin's Creed The Shadows video, followed by the Sungrand video, and now this is definitely taking it out of me. I'm out. Take care.